you are not going to be able to guess the fourth player on this list right here. And yes, I'm using cue cards / sticky notes, but I'm going to bring you guys a list of 5 playoff risers today in the NHL, and I'm going to be connecting them to fantasy hockey because before you know it, it's going to be time for your fantasy hockey drafts, your dynasty drafts, your keeper drafts. It's going to be time to decide on who you're keeping, and it's also going to be time for you to start compiling your notes for the 2026 to 27 season. I hope everyone had a great fantasy hockey season. Most of your leagues should be over by now. If you're in any playoff pools, then good luck, and it's time to get into today's video. We have the Minnesota Wild facing off against the Colorado Avalanche in an elimination game tonight, and it looks like we might have Jesper Wallstedt. We could have Philip Gustafsson, but I really don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but I may have just spoiled one of the guys on this list. So before I spoil any more players, let's get into our 5 playoff risers, and I'm going to explain why they have risen and where you can draft them next season. Being from Toronto, this one hits a bit hard. I'm not a Leafs fan, so it does not kill me or anything, but it's Mitch Marner of the Vegas Golden Knights. This guy didn't have the best regular season. It's just how it is. He didn't have an insane regular season, didn't have his 100-point season, but he did show a lot of different signs of life in Vegas, and he showed that he plays good hockey when there is not media jumping down his throat. Now, he also has an elite centerman right by his side in Jack Eichel, which means if he ever is struggling, all you need is a guy to kind of wingman him back into that 100-point player that he is. So Mitch Marner is lighting up the playoffs, and I'm here to tell you that you can draft him as soon as 10th overall next season, meaning you can draft him at the end of your first round or early in your second round, but he will be gone by the end of the second round in most leagues. So do not wait on him. I'll be getting into something called stacks and team stacks later on, so stay tuned for that because that's going to help you a lot in your drafts. But let's go on to our number 2 guy, and for any Habs fans, you'll love this. It's Jakub Dobeš. Guys, the Montreal Canadiens have their number 1 for at least this year, and I think for next year, I honestly do think that Jakub Dobeš is going to be the guy who plays the majority of hockey games next year. When it comes to Jacob Fowler, you just can't throw a guy in and rush him into the NHL. Goalies take a while to develop. But guys, Dobeš is playing unreal hockey. Yes, the series is tied against the Sabres, but he's the reason they're still there. They beat the Lightning, which is incredible. Being able to beat guys like Kucherov, Point, Radish, Hagel, all those guys who are incredibly offensive. So Jakub Dobeš is a guy who has risen. You probably don't want to draft him because he's going to be drafted pretty high as a goalie next year. But what you'd probably want to do is look at a guy like Fowler if you did get Dobeš early in your drafts. And I want to say Dobeš would go in your top 50 to 60 maybe. I don't think he's going to be off the board near guys like Shesterkin and stuff. But there will be guys who reach on him. And, I mean, if he somehow gets forgotten about, guys, definitely take him because Montreal believes in him and Montreal loves him. So, big hockey market there. Let's go on to number 3, Jesper Wallstedt. Guys, if you've ever heard of the zero goalie strategy, this is a guy who you want to target. Zero goalie strategy means you basically draft your fantasy team with zero consideration for a goaltender. And when your draft is finally wrapping up, you grab your steals in net, meaning you grab guys who have a ton of potential, a ton of volume potential, meaning they could play a lot of games, they could get traded and be a number 1. And you're also drafting guys who will get you the win, so you don't need to cram your goaltenders in, and you don't need to be drafting a goaltender when you could be drafting an elite forward or defenseman. Number 4, guys, I told you couldn't guess this player, and I feel like he probably hasn't crossed your mind yet, but it's Zach Benson, an absolute stud. I'll give a bit of a shout out to one of my buddies who was high on him this season. You know who you are if you talked about Zach Benson this year, but man, this guy is a warrior. He almost reminds me of Matthew Nyes. I think he could be just as good as Matthew Nyes, if not better. But he was drafted. He's a first-round pick for a reason, guys, in the NHL, and he's finally coming to life. He is playing on that. Honestly, he's playing on the same level as a guy like Tage Thompson, Alex Tuch. I've seen him out there making plays just as much as a Tuch, maybe not as much as a Thompson, but Guys, Zach Benson, clutch. Talk about clutch. Reminds me of Jakub Dobeš back in those playoff days. But anyways, I won't say much more about this guy other than this guy has potential next year in a deep league. Don't draft him high in your regular leagues, but he has potential as a sleeper pick, guys. I think he could be doing just as much as Josh Doan, just as much as Ryan McLeod, Yuri Coolidge, depth guys on Buffalo. I'm not the super high guy on the Sabres, but I had to mention him, man. He cooked my Bruins, and he's good. Time for number 5. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, guys. We are going to be doing a ton of off-season content, a ton of thumbnails in the works, ton of content coming up with Dobber Hockey. So a big shout out to Dobber Sports and the guys at Dobber if you're watching this video. And with that being said, our last guy on this list, this is going to help me bring up the idea of stacks, but it's Shea Theodore of the Vegas Golden Knights, guys. This guy loves to block shots. He does not hit, so unfortunately he's going to hurt you there. But guys, he's playing power play 1 for Vegas. I think he's going to be a power play 1 defenseman with Vegas for all of next season. The only real threat would be Hanifin there, but I don't think Hanifin has the hands and the craftiness that Theodore has. So Shea Theodore, guys, don't reach for your second or third, fourth defenseman. Take a guy like Theodore late because no one thinks of him when they think of Vegas, right? At the end of the day, though, we know what he's capable of offensively. He's been great these playoffs, really good. A couple of big goals for them. And you know what? Exposure. It's all about exposure, guys. So you're going to win your leagues by marking these guys down now. Playoff risers, they've gone up. Whether they had bad regular seasons or not, these are your 5 guys that you really want to lock in now. I've been playing fantasy hockey for a decade now, so I do believe I'm the fantasy hockey expert in 10 plus leagues, playing for 10 plus years. So please give me a follow, subscribe, let me know what you like to see next. And it's going to be a big weekend of hockey. I'll be in Montreal tailgating the Game 6 of Sabres Habs. So for me, I'm going to say go Habs, go for that. But I'd love to hear what you guys think of these players and who you want to win the Stanley Cup now that we're down to, call it 8 teams or however many are left. So thank you guys and have a great day.